Hello, Internet! Welcome to episode 403, Forbidden Error, of the Assorted Calibers podcast. The Second Amendment podcast is a little bit for everyone. I'm Weird Beard, and tonight we're having an ACP roundtable. I'm joined by David.
I am Dodd.
Effectively. We are not joined by Oddball. We are not joined by Aaron Paulette. We're not joined by anybody else. Everybody else is indisposed for various reasons, but for reasons that are very obvious. Number one, sorry for the absence. I have a good excuse, and it was unfortunately not the excuse I've been telling everybody about. That comes up later. So I really wanted to get a show going, and number one. Roundtables are easy for me to edit because I don't have to be cutting in all the clips and all that stuff, and also because there's been 2 weeks, like we're pretty thick on news, so we might as well just do a straight news show. So,
and in deference to what you've been going through, I will not try to sneak a swear in that you'd have to find and edit.
I would that.
Normally, I try to do that in a roundtable, but not this time.
We've been through some stuff together, David.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will drop the big and unfortunate news. We haven't bought our house yet. By the time you are listening to this, we will have. But we don't yet own the house. So this is not, my absence has not been because we were moving. I was just getting ready to record what would have been last week's show. I actually had these show notes already written up, and to tell the story of why we had missed the previous week, which was that I'd gotten a phone call from my mom, and she said my dad was not doing well and things weren't going well. We rushed to the hospital and found that my dad was bleeding on the brain, which is something that does happen from stroke survivors, and essentially the prognosis was not good. And they had already talked together about this. Thankfully, again, folks, prepare. The time to start making sure that arrangements are being made for your demise is now.
And confirm.
Yeah, especially if you're married, you should definitely be talking. Know what your significant other has wants for their final wishes, and how they want to be treated if they are to be horribly incapacitated, and let them know your opinion of such things. But yeah, so we essentially were administrating palliative care, and essentially, probably if he lasted the night, we were going to take him back to the nursing facility and at his retirement community, where he would undergo hospice care and pass away peacefully. And the next morning, he was fine. He wasn't fine, but clearly the bleeding had stopped.
Way better than anyone had a right to expect.
Oh, the doctor walked into the hospital room and literally just threw his arms up. No idea. No idea. This is not what we expected. It was not what any of us expected, and thank goodness. Like, even my mom spent the night with him, and she told my daughter and I to go back and get some sleep. I mean, I wasn't going to have my daughter sleep in the hospital. That wouldn't have gone well for anybody. So we went back to their apartment, and knowing that my dad was going to be gone, he wasn't going to drink his whiskey, so I may have drank a bit of it, and so I ended up showing up.
Excuse.
I ended up showing up at the hospital with a horrible headache, and my dad, who had a brain bleed and massive intracranial pressure, did not have a headache. So either way, he had cheated death yet again. He should have died from the stroke. He didn't. He should have died from this brain bleed. He didn't. And it was all looking great for him to ride it out, and then they could do a very minimally invasive procedure to relieve the pressure, and that would be good. And as you can tell from the formatting, that's not what happened. And unfortunately, I was just typing up the show notes for this show, and my phone rang again, and my mom said, you got to get up here. And got up here, and Dad was, again, he actually looked just as bad as he did with that a week ago. But this time he did not rally. I was hoping maybe he would. I literally did the exact same thing. Sat down in the same chair, opened up the same bottle of whiskey, actually killed the damn thing, and but didn't drink nearly as much. So I did not wake up with a horrible headache. And thankfully, Dad did not have a headache, but he did not get better. And after several days, his condition continued to worsen. Thankfully, he was aware enough that he knew we were all there and was able to communicate enough that we knew that he was not in pain. But he did pass away this weekend. And so, because of all of that, there definitely won't be a show next week. I'm going to be or probably the following week, because also where we've got our trip
to pick up the slack for you.
Yeah, where we've got our trip to Vermont as well, and my daughter definitely wants to go. My wife can't go because she's burning up all her time during her time working on the house, and so she needs to take this week. That week going. So it's just going to be the kid and I going up there. And frankly, it's going to be good for both of us. And, so there's going to be mucho disruption moving forward. So that disruption I said is going through, and then we'll see how the move goes. Chaos. But either way, my father did pass away, and I'll just say it was a good death. It was a very, very good death. Again, I hope I am as lucky as he is when it's my turn. So that was my week, at least as much as I want to talk about it. How have you been, David?
Not nearly as bad. I'm dealing with some other stuff. I mean, we haven't really talked about what went on with my parents, but they both died in 2020, and I was unable to go visit either of them because of the restrictions. And so listening to what Weer'd was dealing with, and no shade on Weer'd, but being upset that I hadn't gotten that. And then all the stuff coming out with Fauci congressional hearings and finding his diary, and basically him admitting that there was no reason I couldn't have gone to see my parents before they died. Mm-hmm. It's been a rather tough week or so for me. Not this past weekend, but last weekend went out of town, and I pulled a stupid. I set up my daily pill counter thing, and I forgot to put my Prilosec in it. Omeprazole.
Okay.
So the past weekish, I was not taking the omeprazole that I need to keep my body from overproducing acid. And I was wondering what was going on and why I was having so much acid. And I developed the GERD cough from the acid irritating my throat. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then I went to take the last days of pills in the pill counter and realized there was no omeprazole in there. So I took one right away and took another one that night, and better. I'm getting better too. I'm still coughing a little bit. Excuse me. But
I'll have to look it up. My wife does the same thing and has GERD, and her doctor gave her a liquid that you can drink as essentially kind of the rescue inhaler for heartburn.
Really?
Yeah. I'll look it up tomorrow when I think about it, and I'll send you the information. Ask your doctor about whatever the heck this drug is. But
I would be interested.
She says it's an
I was kind of powering Tums for most of the week.
Yeah, she says it's an absolute game changer. It's absolute game changer for that, like, middle of the night. I have a volcano coming up my throat.
Yeah, it's always fun when you wake up and you're literally gagging on acid.
Yeah.
And not the good kind, not Dr. Leary's version.
Yeah. And I will say that patrons of the show will hear the blooper reel. They'll hear a little bit more in depth about my dad's story and us talking. And I will say, and recounting it for you guys going on, and Oddball was with us a little earlier, but he's on a business trip. And so he can't stay up late, for anything. So that's why he's not present. Aaron's dealing with the stuff that she's dealing with, and she's having a tough time. So she says, I can't do it. Respect that. But in saying all of this, I did not start tearing up until I said to you and Oddball, like, despite the fact that, like, today's the day that my dad got cremated, and I am saying to you guys, I am sorry for your loss. I was thinking about you the whole time, because, of course, Oddball also lost his father during the pandemic and couldn't see him, and had to deal with all the stuff on, you know, essentially working on his estate, and just all of that stuff, just how much it disrupted just the normal flow of life, and the fact, like, what I had and how thankful I was for what I had.
I was thankful you had it as well, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, again, I'm sorry for you guys' loss, and I'm sorry for the loss of anybody who has lost a loved one that was either sudden or because of circumstances you weren't able to be with them at the end. Like, you know, I lost my dad, and it sucks, but the people that lost their folks and were not able to do those final goodbyes and say that stuff, it's just, my heart goes out to you. It really does. Like, you know, don't worry about me. I got so much, and I was so lucky for all that. So that's, I just want to say that to you again, David, in public, and also to Oddball, and again to everybody else who's listening, because that's it's just awful. It's just awful.
Yeah.
But
anywho, aside from that horror, last week otherwise was not terrible. I managed to, before they were out of stock again, I managed to get one of Tim Hoffman's from Hoffman Tactical's new trigger kickers. It's an FRT, a very, very elegant design. And I'm going to be doing a segment on the trials and tribulations, because it is a precisely machined item that requires a precisely machined fire control group. And the FCG that I had in the first AR I tried it in was not precise enough. So I had to order another one, and then got it working, and there was more than a little giggling going on.
They call it a giggle switch for a reason.
Exactly. But I'll be talking about that.
Look forward to the review for that whenever we could get through, because you've also got some other stuff. So,
yep. And if anyone is interested, I am still taking contributions for the David's Ammo Fund, because I now have an FR. I have actually a super safety and trigger kicker FRT, and those things are not cheap to run.
Yeah, the trigger kicker is a budget friendly FRT, and I described that.
You're going to pay for more in ammo real quick.
Yeah, I described it as the level of irony with people that would walk up to my bar when I was a bartender, going, I'll have a Captain and Diet Coke. Yeah, that Diet Coke's gonna really save you.
Right.
All right. Well, shall we get to some news?
I suppose we should.
All right. Well, we always
the big story is the first one is the big story of the of the year, pretty much.
And this is it's kind of a bittersweet story. I see both sides of it. You know, on one hand, this is this happened in what town?
Idaho.
Twin Falls, Idaho.
It was in Twin Falls, Idaho. Gunman showed up and opened fire at a local In-N-Out restaurant that apparently had only opened like a couple of weeks earlier.
Yeah, it was freshly opened, and
yep. And from what the article said, the guy showed up and he opened fire at a Tesla at a charging station.
Okay,
that was the initial target. Something that was pointed out to me was that when a Tesla is hooked up to a charging station, it cannot drive away. I didn't know that. I don't know if that's true for all of them, but apparently that one, when it's in charging mode, it's not in driving mode.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense from a logistical standpoint, because that's more often than not, you're going to forget to unhook the charger, and
it's bad. I've seen people with do that to gas stations and yank off the hose, and that's something that takes a few minutes. Even with a fast charger on a Tesla, it's a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this guy showed up, and of course we're not going to mention his name. But the guy showed up. He opened fire on the parked Tesla, and I believe that's where one of the three fatalities came from. He then turned and opened fire at the In-N-Out, and that's one of their employees was one of the other fatalities. I don't have the identity of the third fatality, but it has been confirmed the third fatality was not the shooter. They're not counting the shooter as one of the three fatalities. And 7 people were injured, including, so there were 2 specifically heroes in this situation. One was an off-duty police officer, and the other one was a fellow who has been identified by the name of Jordan Salinas. And if you've seen any reports about this incident, you have seen the picture of him in the jean shorts with the hat and the suppressed 5.7 pistol. And yes, it was a 5.7. Not a caliber I would choose, but it had well, that's a whole different discussion. We won't go into that now. But he opened fire at the gunman. There is no confirmation if he made any hits. The information that I've seen at this point is that he did not. Neither did the off-duty police officer. There was actually a third person who attempted to excuse me. There was also a third person who attempted to confront the shooter, a young fellow by the name of Austin James, but his father was quoted as saying he intentionally did not draw his firearm because he didn't want law enforcement to mistake him for the attacker. And then he wound up face to face with the shooter, and Austin was shot and critically wounded. He's one of those 7. Austin's wife and a friend were both present and emergency room nurses, and they immediately treated Austin before he was rushed to the hospital. So he's in critical condition, but the prognosis is good.
That's good.
And then around that point, Jordan Salinas opened fire and broke this fellow's fantasy, and he ran off and did what he should have done in the first place, which was end himself. Yeah,
this was textbook, spree killer, in the fact that the moment they start taking incoming fire, and again, we don't know if he got any hits off. There's also
it's not been reported that he did. But.
Yeah, I will note that one of the more famous shooting events with a 5.7 pistol was the first attack on Fort Hood, and note the irony and disgust of the first attack on Fort Hood.
Yeah,
in the fact that a military base is a soft target, but there were definitely several people that were wounded in that attack that didn't realize they were wounded until someone pointed out that they were leaking. The 5.7 is a very interesting caliber, and like you said, not one that you would choose. Also, not one that I would choose as an everyday carry, at least under normal circumstances.
Yeah. Though I mean, 5.7 out of a rifle or short barreled rifle is a laser beam.
Yeah.
It's so fast, has so little drop, but it was designed explicitly for a select fire platform where you're hitting the target with multiple rounds. Mm-hmm. And out of a handgun, it's kind of like we've talked about the difference between 22 long rifle and 22 mag out of a short barrel. 5.7 is 22 mag on steroids. But again, you're losing quite a bit of that out of such a short barrel as a handgun. But still, you're getting a lot more velocity than pretty much any other handgun round. So, again, it's a laser beam, just a little bit slower laser beam. And the one thing I will say, I am not criticizing Mr. Salinas. He did what most people don't do. In fact, most of the video footage that we have of this incident is from people who were unable or unwilling to do what he and those other 2 men did, which was engage. But I will say that he might have been a little better off if he might have been a little better off if he'd had an optic on that handgun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was well beyond normal pistol engagement ranges. I don't know if it was Eli Dicken level, but it was Jack. I just blanked on his last name.
Wilson.
White House Church. Jack Wilson. But it was at least Jack Wilson range. So somewhere in between, I believe, those two, which is beyond normal pistol range. And yeah, you can be really good with irons, but a dot's going to make it easier, especially in that type of stressful situation. And in the video that from someone's phone, you can see, excuse me, you can see Mr. Salinas opening fire, and then the shooter puts some rounds towards him, and he ducks and weaves, but he continued to put rounds towards that shooter.
Yep.
This is a man who is incredibly brave and should never have to buy another beverage in his life. Because he could have just stayed and hid in or behind his car, and he chose to do the right thing.
And again, it was very, very effective. I mean, there has been multiple documented studies that show that resisting violence is absolutely your best bet.
Yeah, a mass shooting only ends when the second gun appears. Oh, one of the funnier quotes from Mr. Salinas was when he was talking to the Idaho Statesman, which is the newspaper. He did not like it when bullets started firing both ways. Because broke his fantasy. He was that shooter was in a video game of his own making.
Yep, it's very clear that most of them have absolutely no consideration for what happens when shots go the other way. Hence, also why they're so frequently in gun-free zones. And,
because they're almost guaranteed an open season.
Correct.
I was just reading through the article again, and I saw that of the 7 injured people, 2 were treated and released that day, 2 remain in critical condition, and 3 others are in serious but stable condition. So it's tragic that 3 people died. It's tragic that 7 were wounded, but this clearly could have been so much worse.
Yep, it's so much worse.
If not for the efforts of people like Mr. Salinas. And I did not see they didn't say the name of the off-duty police officer.
They did not.
And that's a shame, because yes, that's his job. He's a police officer, is to run towards the danger, but he could have not, but he did the right thing anyway. And also Austin James, who ran towards the danger and was critically wounded.
Yeah.
So 3 very, very honorable men that deserve our thanks.
Yep, and it shows that people are learning, because again,
yes,
the best tactic for this is defending yourself, is striking back, whether that means engaging with your personal firearm if you have one, or literally just pulling fire extinguishers off the wall, throwing chairs, throwing dishes, whatever. Right. But just anything that anything again breaks the fantasy works extremely well in the instance of these mass shooters.
Yeah,
and it's also
whatever it takes to break their fantasy and stop them.
Yeah, and I don't want to be glib about this, but I do like that it's showing it's showing what what happens if you resist, and that resistance is a really, really smart move, but it's also the fact that he's used a suppressed pistol. It's showing, suppressed guns in the hands of good guys, but also showing that, again, carry your gun. That's, you may suddenly find out you need it.
Yeah. It's, excuse me. It's something that we've talked about is with the normalization of suppressors. We've seen a lot of that over the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Is suppressors becoming so much more common. And with the end of the tax stamp fee, I think we, increased the number of suppressors by 25% just this year over all that came before?
I think if those numbers aren't correct, they're pretty close.
Yeah, I don't have the actual numbers, but it's a massive increase in the number of suppressors. And it should be regularized.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, there's no reason not to have suppressor availability. And, I know a number of people now, I don't know how many of them before, but I know a number of people now who keep a suppressor on their bedside gun.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they have to use that bedside gun, they're going to be using it inside by their very nature of it. So, you want to protect your hearing. That's a good thing. And this is a very high profile defensive handgun use with a suppressor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably the suppressor manufacturers are probably doing the smile horror look because, yay, people are going to be buying more suppressors. Oh gosh, we haven't caught up from the backlog.
Yeah.
From January. It's a tragic but good thing. I think the overall it's positive.
Yeah, it's
not for the families who have suffered those losses, of course.
It's bitter. I'll just leave it at bittersweet because I don't want to glorify this event. Certainly not in the hands of the coward that did it, but also
we can glorify the three men who stepped up.
Yes, but in the fact that there was some extreme bravery and some quick thinking and good course of action that did have a very, very remarkable positive result.
Yep. I do kind of wonder, and I always wonder these things, because in the video that the person took of Mr. Salinas, it looks like he goes around and opens his trunk and pulls out the suppressed handgun.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looks like. I'm like, what if he had an AR in there?
Yep.
With a magnified optic LPVO.
I mean, the chances of the shooter taking their own life would have gone down precipitously.
Right. Yeah. The shooter's life ending would have not changed.
No.
But that's another thing to consider is if you are going to carry a firearm for self-defense, it needs to be in a reasonable self-defense caliber. And while 5.7 is not optimal, it has served well in a number of circumstances. I mean, there is the joke about the guy walking down the street, a mugger jumps out of an alley, give me your money, and the guy pulls his 5.7 and empties the magazine into him, and then realizes he just spent more than the money in his wallet. But the more important thing, as we saw with Jack Weaver?
Wilson.
God, I'm really doing good with names today. As we saw with Jack Wilson, as we saw with Mr. Salinas and so many others of these brave men who've stepped up, know your equipment, practice, take classes, make sure you're practicing the right things. It doesn't help to have the right equipment if you can't use it, and it doesn't help to have the right mindset if you're unequipped. The two have to go hand in hand. And to go back to the young fellow who confronted the shooter and was critically injured, first aid kits, medical kits, whatever, and again, training. If you can attend a Stop the Bleed class or something similar, at the very least, get a Red Cross CPR BLS class. All right, I'm going to get off my high horse now.
Yep. Yeah, let's you mentioned what happens if he pulled out an AR. That's quite topical with this next bit. And
I actually meant that to be a segue and then got off track.
Oh well, I saved you.
Yes,
I saved
we'll
you.
We'll go with that.
But in fact, the appellate court of which circuit is this?
I know it's not the second. Is it the third? Yes, third.
Yep, the third circuit.
I mean, I also could have just looked at the title of the next article down the list.
Yes, but has struck down New Jersey's ban on semi-automatic rifles, and I think it's also magazines.
I believe so.
Yeah. And so this is one of those. This is awesome news, not just for the people of New Jersey, but also for just all Americans, because again, we reported in the last episode that there is a case going to the Supreme Court on semi-automatic bans and magazine bans that's going to go through, and they are absolutely going to be looking at this ruling because that's how the courts work. They look down at other court precedents when they're reading into it.
And I mean, Supreme Court's already taking a hardware case, and so a further circuit split will only strengthen the resolve.
Yeah, this is fertilizing the soil for what's going through.
Yeah.
I will also note,
fingers crossed.
I will also note that that I moved to Massachusetts in 2004. In the summer of 2004. What happened in the fall of 2004, David?
Well, let's see. The fall of 2004. I think that was right around the time my wife and I bought our first house. Oh, you mean in the Second Amendment world?
Yeah.
I believe that is approximately when the federal assault weapons ban expired.
That is correct.
The sunset clause.
Yeah. No, I was 15 years old when the assault weapons ban went into case. So I was too young to buy any firearms. Wasn't interested in them either at the time. And then by the time I was interested in them, they were banned federally. And then before it got sunsetted, I was in the state of Massachusetts. So I have been under an assault weapons ban pretty much ever since the term has been coined. And now I'm moving back to Maine, and I would find it deeply ironic if all of a sudden I move to Maine and suddenly I'm able to buy, normal capacity magazines and various guns that I've always wanted. And all of a sudden, it's one of those like, oh yeah, no, Massachusetts can do it too now. Again,
you wouldn't be upset.
I would not.
You'd be amused by the irony, but you would not be upset.
I would be upset if it didn't happen like that because, oh my God, that's too good of a story. But it is looking good for that, and this case only strengthens that. And of course, one of the best parts of it is that, again, This is the district that covers New Jersey. The actual courthouse is in Philadelphia, but
it also covers Delaware, who is also on the list.
Correct. And
that's in the article. It mentions Delaware's assault weapon ban enacted in 2022 is likely next. Delaware sits within the Third Circuit, and a district court judge hearing an unresolved challenge to the state's ban will be bound by the appellate court's decision. The decision could also affect a ban in the U.S. Virgin Islands, which is also within the Third Circuit. Of course, the Virgin Islands have much more strenuous gun control than even New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But however, there was a follow-up, I think it was earlier today, that the Third Circuit has granted New Jersey's request to stay the mandate in the FPC's victory against its assault weapons ban pending the state's potential appeal to the Supreme Court. So New Jerseyans and other members of the Third Circuit cannot celebrate and purchase just yet.
Yeah.
Which I do wish Oddball was here to talk more knowledgeably on this. Not that he is a lawyer. He is not a lawyer. But he has greater knowledge of the legal twists.
Yep. But yeah,
Out for you, Oddball.
Yeah, and another thing that really I get a great amount of zeal on is the judge that wrote the dissent was Judge Ariana Freeman, and she was a Joe Biden appointee. So again, Joe Biden has frequently spoken in favor of assault weapons bans, and I've quoted him many times in the Weird Audio Fisks, and
he is very quotable.
Yes. And so she is, I believe, from New Jersey, and but she has gone through and she was the one that wrote this opinion, and a lot of people are noting that she is African American and a woman, and actually quite young. I'm not sure exactly how old she is, but she's definitely not a senior citizen. And so that would make her a very, very strong candidate for the Supreme Court, especially under a left-wing president. And unfortunately, a lot of people have noted that she may have signed her own career death warrant by making what I think we should all agree is the right choice. And
yeah, and it's sad.
Yeah.
But that's how this works.
And so, but again, we salute you. Again, there should be nothing partisan about the Second Amendment. The fact that there is just a tragedy in itself. But I'm glad to see it. I am always hoping for a day when the Second Amendment is no longer a partisan issue. I noted that the federal assault weapons ban was very much a bipartisan issue. There were Democrats that voted against it. There were Republicans that voted for it, and they're all over the map on where they were coming from, what was going on, and all that. Obviously, it got more Democrat support than Republican. Number one, because the Democrats had the majority at the time, and Bill Clinton was the president, so that was who was spearheading it. But it was really not a partisan issue, so to speak. It only became a partisan issue later, and I look forward to those days coming back.
Agreed. So, New Jersey, we got our fingers crossed for you, and hopefully you will be able to get the firearms of your choice and the magazines to feed them with.
Yes. Just
try to leave some drum magazines for Oddball.
All right, this next one's just a nice little article. I'll paraphrase it, but it's from
Slate. They're reputable.
No, I'm talking about the open source defense. Did I skip over a Slate one?
Yes.
I know I covered that. I was just talking about the liberal judges. Was there more?
Okay, that was talking about the justice who made the ruling.
Yeah.
Okay, I missed that one earlier. Okay, so
no, this was
and the same thing with the First Circuit. That's also incorporated into that.
Yeah,
and then Virginia again. Okay, yeah. So I was only focusing on the first couple of those. I didn't realize there were 4 more on the same topic. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, Ghost Guns.
Yeah, this one's from open source defense, talking about
not working for me.
No,
page unavailable.
Oh, really? I just clicked on it, but
let me see if I can find it through other ways.
Here, I'll post. I'll see if I'll post a direct link in chat. See if you can get it directly that way. But essentially, it's saying that. It's talking about the New Jersey case, and it's pointing out essentially what we've always talked about on ACP is how humanity sees regulation as damage and routes around it.
Yep.
And talking about essentially open source defense obviously is a huge source of 3D printed firearms technology, and essentially pointing that it's gun control that's driving all of these decisions and what's going on. And
let's see. So the ABC article that I cannot get to is about a quote unquote ghost gun company ordered to pay
oh yes
a wrongful death suit.
Oh yeah, that appears to be gun. Let's see if I can find an alternate thing.
Yeah, because I did a search for it on the ABC website and nothing came up.
There we go. Found another one, and actually I'm just going to edit
change the link.
Yep, because it's pretty much the same title. It may even be the same story because it may be an AP reporter. It is. This is an AP. So I think the ABC was just picking up the story. And but I believe this was a story of a teenager who bought a pistol building kit,
right, for a Glock 19 build kit,
and then took their own life with it, and they were sued by the family, and there was a verdict, and this is just a tough story. I don't even know if I have a opinion. I won't lie, I haven't dug too deep into the story. I know Oddball shared it when he first heard about it, and we talked a little bit about it, but I have been super duper busy, and I was expecting to get a chance to read this a little deeper before we started, but I got in late from Maine today and had a lot of little fires to put out. Namely, emptying a lot of the stuff out of my refrigerator that turned into a science experiment because I had not prepared to leave in such a hurry.
That could have been useful for homeschooling purposes.
Yeah, we did that during the lockdown. And so, yeah, I don't really, on one hand, it's Costas Morris has been talking on the Twix quite a lot about chastising the people that essentially just say all gun control laws are unconstitutional. And I've got to say, I do agree with him. I think things need to get pared down a lot, but
I mean, it's basically one of the examples he gave is, do you think it should be legal for a 13-year-old to bring a handgun to school?
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much any responsible person is going to say, okay, no.
Yep.
That's an unnecessary risk, and minors can be restricted from doing things. Well, then you're not in favor of abolishing all gun laws.
Yep. And I will also say
there are some that make sense. Should prisoners in custody be able to have firearms? No.
Yep. And even the more simple line of which I love in theory, of the anybody that is allowed to be out in public without supervision should have the right to have a gun. I really love that in practice, but or in theory. In theory, but in practice, we really don't have enough prisons to lock up every person that, my favorite is the barroom brawler, the type of person who gets a few drinks in them and then suddenly everybody's slinging insults. They're insulted. They're going to beat your face. Those people that show that level of lack of judgment, I really don't want to have guns. So I believe in prohibited person status. I believe it needs to be edited heavily. I believe that there needs to be a lot
prohibited
of reforms.
person, but there needs to be a higher bar. Yeah, we'll just say that. Due process definitely needs to be a major focus,
and we need to heavily limit I think the number of felonies that we have on the books and the number of crimes that are felonies, I think probably could stand to be edited around. But also the idea of felonies that do not involve violence against other people, clearly shows that, someone who Martha Stewart being, again, my favorite example, she essentially got convicted of felony perjury.
She got convicted for not remembering things perfectly.
Yeah, that's really it was not a solid case in my opinion. But even if it was, or someone who got convicted of tax fraud, actually Alan Gottlieb of the Second Amendment Foundation actually did get convicted of felony tax fraud and had to petition to get his firearms rights restored. And he's sorry for what he did, but it's one of those, like, I've hung out with Alan Gottlieb. I am not worried about him in a sense, not only the fact that he is absolutely pocket sized, but he's a delightful man.
Yeah, he's delightful. I've chatted with him at
I
don't know which event, but I had a brief moment to chat with him at one of them.
Yeah, he's a very, very wonderful guy and a great Second Amendment warrior, and all of that. But at no point in time do I ever get any sort of vibes that he might be dangerous, or I need to be careful around this guy. If I say the wrong thing,
he might fly off the handle.
Yeah, or I've never ever been concerned if he's carrying a gun. I've been concerned if that he wasn't carrying a gun, just because why wouldn't you?
Why aren't you carrying a gun?
I certainly was. I don't know if I've ever hung out with. Oh no, I have. When we were in Chicago. When we were in Chicago, I wasn't carrying a gun.
Well, that's different. You weren't in America.
Yes. And
when you're in a foreign country, that rules change.
Yeah, but yeah. So it's one of those.
Excuse me.
He committed a crime. It was a felony. He has admitted that he was absolutely guilty of that crime, and that it was not a good thing that he did, and he regretted doing it, and all that. And in no way, shape, or form do I think that makes him have any more proclivity for violence, that's going on. I might not want to let him do my taxes.
That's fair,
but
I think he'd agree that that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's certainly that thing of the you always get the if you've ever worked a job where you've had to run a cash register, there'll often be questions about, have you ever been convicted of certain crimes? Because if someone who's willing to commit tax fraud might also, dip a little bit out of the register or make the count a little thin.
Just with their beak.
Exactly. So, you could argue that they might have certain proclivities over someone who's never committed a felony, but violence, no, that's foolish. And in this instance, it's a 16-year-old kid buying a gun kit. It's one of those things of I've got mixed feelings. I mean, the fact that he was 16 is a tough one, because we let them get behind the wheel of a car. Guess what's more dangerous?
Yeah. And I mean, not to bury the important detail that this kid was in enough pain that he ended his own life. Mm-hmm. And that, I mean, we mentioned our friends at Walk the Talk America. We mentioned some of the other programs that are available. Most of those programs are focused on adults because they are dealing with people who legally possess firearms, who have to be 18 or 21 years or older. There's also a need, just not firearm specific, but there is a need for more mental health care available and destigmatized for people under the age of 18. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, is really the key, because suicide has touched my life several times.
Might as well.
None of them involve a firearm. Mm-hmm. If someone truly wants to end their life, they will find a way. The reason firearms are used in about 2/3 of suicides, approximately, is because, yes, they're more available. But as we've seen in other countries that have extremely strict firearms regulations, their suicide rate doesn't change as those laws pass. Just different methods.
I believe Canada has far stricter gun control laws and yet has a higher suicide rate than we do.
I mean, are we including the government-assisted suicides?
No.
Because that's like, what, in the top 5 causes of death now?
It's this is let's stay the hell away from that one. Yeah,
I mean, we don't usually talk about the laws in other countries, but I was honestly asking when the suicide rate being higher in Canada, if that included the government assisted suicides, because it's still a suicide.
Yeah, it was higher before Canada adopted their MAID laws.
Okay, all right,
but so
it's one of those things. Is yes, there are too many gun laws. No, not all of them are nonsense. Mm-hmm. There are some, keeping guns out of the hands of people who mean themselves or others harm is our responsibility as gun owners. And I don't want to come across as the Second Amendment butt, mm-hmm. but there are certain circumstances like guns in prisons,
yep,
where we have to not be absolutists.
Yep. Yeah.
And as someone who considers himself a fairly strict Second Amendment absolutist, that does hurt to say, but it's the reality.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, I agree with you on that, and it's a tough case. And I'm looking at the show notes and realize that you jumped ahead a little bit, because we actually had a couple more assault weapons ban stories. These ones not as good as the previous one. Is noting that Massachusetts had a case where it was actually a gun store owner suing Massachusetts, and again, the appeals court has ruled in the favor of assault weapons bans, just like they did in Warman v. Healy. So,
but the next one, because you're the one who skipped down to the ghost gun one.
This was being recorded, David, but we'll leave it at that.
I thought that's what you were talking about when you were talking about the next one.
Nope.
But anyway, regardless, so the First Circuit upholding the Massachusetts ban is counterbalanced by the following story, where Virginia gun shops are resuming sales of semi-automatic and standard capacity magazines.
Yeah, this is actually kind of the opposite side of the New Jersey one, though. Mm-hmm. Though in this case, it's the Virginia had passed an assault weapons ban, and so they've challenged
One
it.
of the more draconian ones, I believe.
Yeah, I honestly haven't read through all of it to know exactly where the law read. I mean, I've definitely read some of the earlier drafts of it when it was being passed around between the House and the Senate, but I haven't actually read the first one, mostly because I've been reading the stories on the challenges, and they have done an injunction, so the shops can again continue to sell guns until the court makes its ruling.
It says the injunction remains in effect until July 21st. It is now, as of this recording, August 5th.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, July 21st, 2027. I didn't read all the way.
Yep.
So they still got another year, or until a final court decision is issued.
Yeah.
And hopefully the Supreme Court will come down. So here's my wish list for the case before the Supreme Court right now. Mm-hmm. My wish is that they announced that it's been decided and the majority decision is going to be written by Clarence Thomas.
Oh, yes. I honestly speaking, how the last few Second Amendment cases have gone is Thomas. I mean, he really is a absolute Second Amendment fanatic. When it comes to,
well, he's a fairly strict constitutionalist.
He's a very strong constitutionalist, but it seems that he really gets gets turned up when it comes to firearms law, and so hopefully,
well, I mean, as a black man of his age, mm-hmm. that shouldn't be surprising.
No, it should not be. But of course, also, as a podcast that is heavily affiliated with the Pink Pistols. Unfortunately, it's very common for there to be gay groups that are in favor of gun control, and if you're listening to this show,
as a Jew,
and also the number of the number of Jewish people that have voted and or drafted gun control laws should just make you. It's turkeys voting for Thanksgiving. Like, stop it.
Chickens for Colonel Sanders.
So this is.
Oh no, I've gone on this rant before.
Yes.
Now I will say, based on some polling information, the number of Jews that are outspoken opponents of the Second Amendment appears to be dropping, and the numbers that still may continue to be concentrated in the large urban centers. So there's some hope. Honestly, the biggest shift in American Jews' position on the Second Amendment occurred on October 7th mm-hmm. in 2023. So,
and unfortunately, I mean, it sucks. This is another one of those like bittersweet. Like it's great that you guys are turning around and joining us. It sucks that it's because you guys are becoming the victim of hate crime.
Not becoming.
Or
we've been the victims of hate crimes since the definition was created.
More frequently becoming victims of hate crime.
Yes,
and so
that is sadly true.
I don't wish crime on anybody, writ large. But these sort of targeted crimes towards things that are not something that's really anything to do with your behavior is disgusting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now I was looking at the next one. Mm-hmm. If you want to go on to that, or if there's anything more you want to say about the first, is Virginia in the Third Circuit as well?
I'm not sure. Let me look.
Yeah, because I can never keep. We keep on sharing the map in the chat.
Yep. And
I look at the map and I remember it for that episode, and then the episode ends and the map disappears from my brain.
We are the same person on that. Yeah. So Virginia is the fourth circuit.
Okay.
Yep. The third circuit is Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware.
Right.
And then as soon as it cuts into Maryland, that's the fourth.
Right. So we've got stories about the first, third, and fourth, because Massachusetts, New Jersey, and Virginia. are all referenced in there.
Yep. But yeah, no, this is
somehow the second has stayed out of the news this week.
Yeah, this is the not for lack of trying.
No,
but like I said, this challenge is everywhere. I mentioned that I'm moving to Maine. I'm not. It's not. I'm not going to stop to be any less of a Second Amendment activist because, again, since I left Maine in 2004. There's been a pile of more gun control laws thrown on in there, and there has been threats of things like assault weapons bans floated. Yep. So nowhere is safe.
When I moved out of New York to Tennessee, I only became more active.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, that's something I do want to mention with the Sixth Circuit. Reminded me of this again is with what's going on in Michigan. Why have no cases been taken to the Sixth Circuit, or are they in process? Because, Tennessee, Kentucky, and the imaginary state should counterbalance anything from Michigan as far as judges in the Sixth Circuit. So it's kind of like the Fifth Circuit has been doing yeoman's work, but Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi aren't really passing much in the way of gun control laws.
Yep. I mean, that's always been the problem with the circuit split is that the states that are more likely to contain judges that would rule in favor of the Second Amendment don't ever get cases because those
they don't have those laws.
Those areas are not also willing to pass those laws.
But Michigan, again, as part of the Sixth Circuit, has passed those laws.
That's true.
As poor Xander has been reporting.
Mm-hmm.
So, come on, folks. Get the lawsuit printer going, Bert.
Yep. Or maybe just SCOTUS will just nip this in the bud because...
Oh, that would be even better.
I mean...
I don't count on it, but I really hope.
It's not nothing is a sure thing. I just hope in this case it is.
Yeah, it would be nice.
All right, on to this next story. This one's this one's really a fun one. March for Our Lives is talking about how shooting deaths and injuries have hit historic lows. And they are...
and coming from March for Our Lives, a fully funded extension of the Bloomberg Corporation.
Yes. And they are claiming that it is thanks to the gun control laws passed during the Biden administration. I will note that the gun control laws passed during the Biden administration are pretty much exclusively the Bipartisan Safer Community Act. And I noted I actually went to the March for Our Lives account and it wasn't locked down. I had completely forgotten about it, but I'd commented on the fact that, hey, because the gun control people wrote this law in such a way, again, longtime listeners of the show will hear me say, actually, what they're proposing might be a good thing for us because, like, essentially, President Biden talking about wanting to put strict limits on who needs a license to sell firearms. Well, you're going to have to define what is being in the business selling firearms, and maybe they would spell it out so that we would have a concrete definition of what it meant. And therefore,
well, that would be telling.
Yeah. And the short answer is everything in the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act was just setting framework for the ATF to put out more regulations. And since Trump has come in, he has put some very pro-gun people in the leadership positions of the ATF, and they have essentially gutted it. So as far as I know, a couple of bits like I think the enhanced background checks for under 21, I believe those got struck down as being unconstitutional. And then everything else, essentially, they just reversed so that it's just not being enforced. So if we are at historical lows because of past gun control law, how come this past gun control law is unloaded?
Right? You would think.
Yeah.
But no.
And, I forgot about this one. I guess we probably should have put this up at the top of the show link. And, there it goes. This is an Ammo Land story. But California CCW holder stops a knife attack. And I believe this person wasn't charged either, which is great. But essentially, someone was in a barbecue place, and they pulled out a knife and were threatening people. and somebody had a concealed firearm, drew it. Did they shoot? Yes.
According to the article, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department said a customer who was, quote, lawfully armed and possessed a valid concealed carry permit confronted him and ordered him to put down the knife. The command did not stop him. Investigators say the knife-wielding man charged towards the customer, who then fired. Paramedics found the man suffering from an apparent gunshot wound and lacerations. Paramedics pronounced him dead at the scene. The concealed carrier remained at Lucille's and cooperated with homicide investigators. No arrest, citation, or charging decision involving the armed citizen had been announced as of publication.
Yep. So, yeah.
So hopefully that continues.
And again, in California.
Because there are way too many DAs that will decide to make a name by charging someone who has done nothing wrong.
Correct. So yeah, that's awesome. And again, just like the first story, I guess we'll call it bookends and not pretend like I totally dropped the ball in organizing the organizing this. But I have an excuse.
Yes, you're gonna have. As my wife explained it to me. Now, my wife lost her father when she was considerably younger. But one of the things that she told me was that I was going to have what she referred to as a fog year, where your memory is just going to be all sorts of wonky. Yeah.
And then, coupled with the fact that, we're moving and all the ups and downs that have been going on this year. The 2026, at least for me, is going to be has been the emotional roller coaster year.
Oh yeah.
And so we're going to have lots of ups and downs. But hey, David, do you know who gives me lots of ups?
I'm assuming you're referring to our beloved listeners.
Listeners, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and also very much thanks for your support through these interruptions. I know I told you I was going through, and I know that there's a lot of other podcasts that are not nearly as regular as ACP, but I consider that very important, and I know that people appreciate it when the show shows up on time, and I apologize for not being available. I don't apologize for the circumstances, but yeah, thank you guys so much for staying, sticking around, and being supportive through all of this. But I will say that actually I've been doing pretty good at front-loading stuff for our supporters on Patreon. They have been getting regular blooper reels and film tracks and things like that. Film tracks we've been a little lacking because we've only been doing like one a week instead of 2 a week, so we haven't been getting like months and months ahead of time.
That's mostly your fault.
Sometimes, but yeah. So if you want to be part of the elite crew that has not been having interruptions in service, go to patreon.com/Assorted podcast to sign up. Like I said, there's lots of content that's going on there, even when sometimes the show can't be made. There's still stuff on there right now, so there'll be new stuff coming out even as you're listening to this. I'll keep reading. Also, please remember to rate us on Apple Podcasts and Pocket Casts, and subscribe to us on the platform of your choice, and share the show with your friends both online and off. Of course, I've got a blog. It's at weirdworld.com. That's weerdworld.com. And hear me weekly on Handgun Radio on the Firearms Radio Network. Excellent tone, David. And where can people find you?
They can find me here. They can find me on Handgun Radio when my schedule coordinates. I'm also a contributor to the Blue Collar Prepping blog, which can be found at bluecollarprepping.blogspot.com. Not a lot of activity recently, but the archive of articles is still present. And finally, I am a published author, and books with my stories can be found on Amazon under David Bach or Brenna Bach.
And also, you can get more for Aaron at Linktree/Aaron Paulette. That's linktree.ee/Aaron Paulette, all one word. Go out there and give her some love. She's going through some tough stuff too. So
we all are going through tough stuff.
Yep. So if you can reach out to her, please do, because we love Aaron.
The Blue Collar Prepping group on Facebook is also a good place to get information, and if you could go there and request some information. It would really, really be helpful to all of us because it's nice to feel wanted.
Yeah. And thanks to Nate Spencer for our music.
Weer'd's currently living in a circuit that upheld an assault weapons ban. Many other people are not. Hopefully the Supreme Court will take care of that, but currently our access to fully functional semi-automatic rifles are assorted, and so is our podcast.
May that end soon. Good night, everybody.
Good night.